Whether you're running out the door or only have a few minutes to spare for your makeup look, or you want that effortless, I didn't even try look, there's one makeup trend you'll be glad you have in your arsenal. Clean girl makeup. Think glowy skin, flushed cheeks, glossy lips. It's the ultimate no makeup look. Learning how to do clean girl makeup is pretty simple too. All you need are a few products and the right technique. Ahead, we're sharing more about what clean makeup. Right. So I thought I'd do a general improvised video where I just talk about just life during transition, really. Um, so here's the thing. It's I think now at the moment with this very extreme sort of 77 punk makeup kind of deal and everything, my hair like this, I do feel more like me, you know. One thing I will say is that over the last year or so, uh, around about the time I started HRT, and on top of that, I'm with like a private clinic at the moment, and we adjust like the levels of HRT. At the moment, I'm taking 2 gel patches that you apply to the skin plus a T blocker every 3 days. And um, over the course of that time, I have noticed how some men have been hitting on me just occasionally. You know, it's it's an odd experience. Uh, it is really not what you want to deal with when you're just trying to go somewhere. I remember I think maybe about a month or so ago, I was in central London quite early in the day. It wasn't like early hours, but it was like maybe 7, 8 a.m. because I had to go somewhere quite early. I was walking through Chinatown and some guy was there. And it's that kind of time when, you know, the sun's up and everything, but like the West End hasn't woken up, so to speak. Some guy's hanging around and he approaches me and I'm in the middle. I got to like just walk past this guy, and it was like sort of he said like first there were like 3 things he did. First thing he did was like sort of general sort of praise as, oh, your hair looks nice, and then he notices that I'm not paying any attention and he insults me, and then as I walk past him he says, I love you, in a sort of rather weak sort of way. And sort of, yeah, okay then. But of course, I mean, everyone gets this since the year dot, obviously. I mean, it's something I was always sort of vaguely aware of in the abstract. It's just when it happens to you, you know, you start to really, really properly understand it, of course. I remember shortly after, I think it was like literally the day after I realised I was trans, and I came out, well, at least to myself to begin with, in the middle of 2 of the lockdowns during the pandemic. So this is quite a while ago, obviously. It took a long time for me to, you know, go public with it and everything. And I remember the following day, after I had my realisation of this, me and my family, we were walking through the local shopping centre with, you know, with masks on, and, you know, if you remember what it was like, you know, with all the, you know, 2 metre signs everywhere, very grim. And Boots was open, and I went in there and I saw this. To anybody, it's just like a typical sort of makeup sort of advert, you know, but it had this glowing young woman. And looking at that, and for the first time in my life, and sadly not for the last time, I felt like an absolute hag, you know. I mean, it's sort of ironic, you know, this sort of, I'm sort of kind of deliberately going for a very extreme look, you know. But yeah, I just felt, again, that was something else that I understood in the abstract, but then all of a sudden, oh God, there's this product which is basically aimed at me. It's making me feel like absolute shit, you know. But obviously, I mean, if you're born in the correct body, whatever you want to call it. Because I know some people don't like the terms AFAB, AMAB for various reasons. If you're in that position, obviously you get to learn this from an early age, and that in turn does make me kind of, because I know there are certain, when I was younger, very young, about, a child basically, there were certain opportunities I got because everybody thought I was a boy, and if I had been born under the correct gender, I would not have had those experiences, to do with computing and other things like that. It's just a complicated, long story, really. Yeah, and yeah, it's one thing I will say lately is that I have started looking at myself in the mirror, and I see, and even though I don't quite like what I see as such, it's sort of, well, I've got the beginnings of something going on here. At the moment I'm hoping to grow out this hair longer. Oh, and also, well, I've probably noticed I've dyed it sort of black, except for this bit where the dye didn't take for whatever reason. Yeah, so yeah. I'm sorry. It's just so strange to be in a position where I am sort of actually getting on in my life. I actually now have friends in real life. I have a social circle, in fact. We go out and do things. Just the other day I was out with some friends. We just went out to a pub in central London, and we just went there to have a drink. It was just, this sounds like the most boring and normal thing to some people, but if you knew me in person 10 years ago, you would not believe how much I've changed. And it is all because of me transitioning, really. It gave me that permission to sort of actually go out things, and it's made me, it really has been, a real, it's been the most positive step in my entire life, I think. Yeah, going into it, I knew the shit I would get, the shit that my community always gets. That's partially why I turned up at the Trans March the other week. But it's just odd. Yeah, I don't know where else to go from this discussion. One thing I will say, film review. I was actually recently. On a whim, I went to see a UK premiere of a new film from New Zealand, which is called Mum, I'm Alien Pregnant. And from a title like that, you'd expect something kind of crazy, and yes, it is crazy, but it's like, I'm going to try and, I don't want to spoil it as much as I can. I don't want to give it spoilers. But it really is an amazing film, actually. I believe it's about a couple of months. It's going to be shown in a film festival somewhere in the north. I don't know precisely where. I know one of my friends, they're going to see it as part of that festival. I have to, but the UK premiere was at the Prince Charles Cinema in London, where I often go, and it was absolutely amazing. It's gross and it's funny and it's blackly humorous, but below it all, it has this genuine feeling. It has a real genuine anger to it as well. There's a lot of stuff that is very explicitly about bodily autonomy, and women's rights and abortion rights. Actually, am I allowed to say that on YouTube? Probably not. I'll keep it in anyway, and we'll see how it goes. And it really is an amazing film. One thing I will say is that if you are pregnant at the moment, I generally don't know if you want to watch it. I mean, in certain ways, I can see it being incredibly cathartic for people. I mean, it was actually quite interesting for me because it was resonant for me in some very unusual ways that I didn't expect. But it's you may get a bit upset at it, but you may also find yourself and terrible things that happen in the world sort of quite viciously mocked in many ways. Oh, blimey. I hit my thumb on the thing that my table is on. Yes. I'll end it there. I think I've yapped on long enough, and hopefully you like my look. I've gone out like this a couple of times actually. So if you're anywhere near, particularly near the East London, sometimes mainly, you may see me out and about. If not, you won't.